I'm Jamie Christie. Many of you will know me or know of me from my 30 years in the Canberra EDs. I'm standing as an independent candidate for the ACT Rep's seat of Bean. I'd like to open by thanking Walter for the invitation to present. While I've had no conversations with anyone outside the ACT, my concerns are similar to the independents with professional backgrounds standing across the country, federal political integrity, and Australia's policy framework for addressing climate change. I now feel that unless we can resolve our federal integrity issues, we have no hope of managing adaptation to climate change. I stood in 2019 for similar reasons. I've no interest in a political career for its own sake, but living in a democracy, if I've concerns about where it's going, I have a responsibility to stand up. I had no political background, prior experience or connections, but my ED project management skill set and long-standing relationship with the electorate meant I became the best performing ACT federal independent in decades. During that 6-week campaign, I learnt that for many of our political operatives, the relationship between what they said and reality was often incidental. It's not that they were trying to conceal the truth, it's just that the truth was irrelevant. Their goal is to influence you by saying what they think you want to hear. It's now clear that this approach runs throughout our politics. As just one example, the basis of our emission offset system is carbon credit units that represent carbon dioxide removed from the atmosphere. These units can be purchased by emitters such as airlines, who guarantee they'll be putting the carbon dioxide out. Unfortunately, there's no such guarantee that the entities being paid to remove it actually do. The ANU's Don Butler has recently mapped the location of active reforestation projects under the scheme. Payments being made to grow forests where forests already exist, or as you can see, to grow forests where no forest will ever grow. Unless this practice of spin over substance can be rooted out, we'll destroy the societal trust needed to mitigate climate change and fund realistic adaptations to it. And the only way to change political culture is to put new people in with different norms. Even if we succeed in this, both major parties are hobbled by the fossil fuel industry. The coalition has no meaningful plan to decarbonise, federal Labor's is not ambitious enough, and state Labor governments in Western Australia and Queensland are continuing to fund fossil fuel expansion. So I'm standing again in 2022. Should I be elected, as an independent, I don't have a fully fleshed out policy position on every issue. I'll be advocating for a moratorium on further fossil fuel expansion, a redirection of the billions in subsidies we're paying for foreign-owned fossil fuel extraction, eyeballing every proposal that comes up for its impact on climate, and holding whichever parties in government to account. Another thing an independent can do is say things that are unsayable by the major parties, like we'll need to coordinate more than 25% of GDP to achieve these outcomes, and it's very unlikely they'll be delivered entirely by the free market. Our volunteer rural fire services and state emergency services can't continue to respond to the intensity and frequency of events we've seen over recent years. We'll need to establish a professional national civil defence service to support them. We'll also need to shift from our current state versus federal mindset, this problem's not mine. My negotiating skill set from the ACT emergency departments will be very useful here. And then, our culture is evolving. It's becoming accepted to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands on which we live. On the 10th anniversary of the National Apology, our current Prime Minister's commemorative speech stated that rather than "I'm sorry," the hardest phrase to utter is "I forgive you." It seems to me that the Uluru Statement from the Heart is that. In it, our First Nations peoples offer the values and perspective of their cultures to our wider society. The only way we'll successfully manage the huge transitions that climate change will impose is if we can stop seeing our land and people as things to be exploited for short-term gain and make the core role of our Commonwealth Government the stewardship of our Commonwealth. If I'm elected, these are the values and perspectives I would bring to the role. For now though, mine is a small campaign. If my concerns and values resonate, any practical assistance that you could offer would be gratefully received. Thank you for your time.